Welcome to our deep dive today.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at shyness.
Shyness.
You know, we were looking at the research, and
Mm.
it's interesting because over 80% of people
Wow.
have said that they have felt shy
Yeah.
at some point in their
At
life.
some point. Yeah.
And it really made us realize, like, wow, this is something that so many people experience.
Yeah, and it's often seen as this like isolating thing, right?
Yeah.
Like you're the only one going through it.
Right,
But then when you see a statistic like that,
right.
it kind of hits you like, oh, wow, this is very common.
Yeah, it's very prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact,
Yeah.
over 40% of people consider themselves currently shy.
Oh, wow.
And there's even a smaller percentage,
Mm-hmm.
about 4%, who experience what the research calls true blue shyness.
True blue.
Yeah, meaning they feel shy
Oh, wow.
almost all the time, no matter what the situation is.
No matter what.
So it really does make you think about the impact that this can have on people's
It
lives.
really does. Yeah.
And it makes you realize
Yeah.
that shyness isn't just one thing.
Right.
It's not just a little bit of awkwardness here and there.
Mm-mm.
It really exists on a spectrum.
Yes, it does.
It could be mild discomfort to,
Yeah.
severe anxiety
Absolutely.
that can really impact someone's ability to function
Mm-hmm.
day to day.
Day to day. Yeah.
And how shyness shows up can be so different too.
Right.
One person might blush
Mm-hmm.
and get flustered talking to new people,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and then someone else might avoid social gatherings altogether.
Yeah.
We even read a story about a young boy who was so shy.
Wow.
He wore a paper bag mask to kindergarten.
That's a powerful example, and it
Mhm.
really does make you think about what causes it.
Right.
Because there are so many different theories out there.
Yeah.
Some are pretty surprising.
One that stood out to me was the idea that it could be an inherited trait,
Inherited trait.
like having blue eyes or brown hair.
Oh, wow.
There was one researcher, Cattell, who theorized about this H personality type,
Okay.
suggesting that some people just inherit
Uh-huh.
a more sensitive nervous system,
Interesting.
which makes them prone to shyness.
Okay.
So that's just one piece of the puzzle, though, right?
One piece of the puzzle.
I mean, it's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
But then you've got behavioral theory
Right.
that says that shyness is a learned response.
Word.
You might develop shyness if you've had negative experiences
Mhm.
in social situations, or if you haven't had the chance to practice
Right.
good social skills.
Yeah, like that example in the research about
Mhm.
the teacher
Yeah.
who developed shyness because
yeah.
when she was a child, she tried to communicate, but she
Yeah.
was ignored or misunderstood.
Yeah. Or even that whole idea
Uh-huh.
that passive entertainment,
Uh-huh.
like, TV,
Yeah.
if you spend too much time doing that.
Right. Rather than interacting with people, it can
Yeah.
actually contribute to shyness.
But then there's another theory
Okay.
that goes even deeper.
Even deeper.
That's the psychoanalytic theory,
Okay.
which suggests that shyness stems from deeper psychological conflicts,
Wow. Okay.
often rooted in early childhood.
Interesting.
This is where it gets really fascinating.
Oh, okay.
Because it goes into those Freudian concepts,
Uh-huh.
the id,
Yeah.
Ego.
Superego.
superego.
Yeah.
So the id is like our primal instinctual drive.
Right.
The superego is our moral compass.
Mm-hmm.
And the ego is trying to balance the two.
Right. Right.
So how does that relate to shyness?
Well, psychoanalysis suggests that shyness could actually be unresolved conflicts
Okay.
between these parts of ourselves,
Okay.
and that these conflicts could be stemming from early childhood,
Okay.
and then they can manifest as shyness later on.
I'm starting to see the connection.
Yeah.
There are all these personal stories that really hint at this
Mm-hmm.
complex inner world of shy individuals.
Yeah.
Like, we read a story about a woman who described using the bathroom as a fantasy land
Wow.
to escape and to go into different roles.
Oh, that's interesting.
It gives you a little glimpse
It does.
into what might be going on.
Yeah.
But of course, this theory is really difficult to test
Right. It's a little more difficult to test.
scientifically. So
Yeah.
you've got nature and nurture battling it out here.
Battling it out.
But there's another piece to this whole puzzle, right?
Right.
It's not just about our personalities or our experiences.
Mhm.
It's also about the society that we live in.
Absolutely.
The research points to the idea that societal factors can play a role
Absolutely.
in shaping our experience of shyness.
Yeah.
For example, cultures that emphasize individual achievement
Mm-hmm.
and competition
Right.
might foster a fear of judgment,
Right.
which can lead to more shyness.
Absolutely.
Or the way that we use technology,
Right.
always connected but often very superficially,
Mm-hmm.
might make us more isolated and less comfortable with face-to-face interactions.
Yeah.
So you wonder if modern life is actually setting us up
You do.
to be shy.
You really do.
And then there's another angle, too,
Okay.
which is the power of labels.
The power of labels.
You know, the research suggests that simply being labeled shy
Wow.
can actually influence how we perceive ourselves
Right.
and how we behave.
Yeah,
It can become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
absolutely.
If people keep telling us we're shy, we might start to believe it
Yeah.
and then act accordingly,
Right.
even if we wouldn't have defined ourselves that way
Exactly.
in the first place.
Yeah,
It's interesting
it really is.
to think about how societal expectations and labels can actually shape us,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
our identities.
Right.
So to really understand this whole shyness thing,
Yeah.
we need to go beyond just the causes
Mm-hmm.
and look at how it actually manifests.
Right. Different ways it shows up.
And that's where this idea of publicly shy
Yeah.
and privately shy comes in.
Publicly shy versus privately shy.
This distinction helps us to see that shyness
Yeah.
isn't a one-size-fits-all thing.
One size fits all.
It can show up in many different ways.
Yeah.
So let's break it down.
Let's do it.
What does it mean to be publicly shy?
Okay, so publicly shy people are primarily concerned with their outward behavior
Mm-hmm.
and how they're perceived by others.
Yeah.
They're the ones who might blush easily,
Mm-hmm.
stumble over their words,
Yeah.
avoid social situations because they're worried about what people are going to think.
Yeah, they're really focused on that external presentation.
Yes.
On how they come across to the world.
Yes.
And they tend to bear the heavier burden of shyness, right?
They do.
Because it's so visible.
Because it's visible.
It becomes this cycle.
Mm-hmm.
They feel inadequate, so they perform poorly,
Mm-hmm.
and then that reinforces their negative self-image.
Absolutely. And in fact,
Yeah.
the source material even suggests that publicly shy people
Mm-hmm.
are more likely to experience physical symptoms, like a racing heart or sweaty palms,
Okay.
in those social situations.
Yeah, it's almost like they're constantly under the spotlight,
Yeah.
feeling judged.
Yeah.
Sure.
Nice. You're nice, yeah.
Which makes me think of that example of the football star Ross,
Oh, yeah.
who was so overwhelmed
Yeah.
that he basically withdrew from public life
Oh, wow.
completely.
Yeah.
So you see how debilitating
You do.
public shyness can be.
It can be. Yeah.
But then you have examples like Barbara Walters,
Barbara Walters.
who's incredibly successful,
Yeah.
but admits to battling shyness
Throughout her career.
her whole career.
Yeah.
She learned to manage it,
Uh-huh.
but she still felt those pangs of anxiety
Right.
privately.
Privately. Yeah.
So that brings us to the other side,
Okay.
privately shy.
Privately shy.
These are the people who
Hmm.
might seem totally confident and outgoing,
Yeah.
but on the inside,
On the inside.
they're dealing with a different experience.
Really the different. Yeah.
So they're less focused on how they appear to others
Mm-hmm.
and more tuned into how they're feeling.
Right. They have those racing thoughts,
Mhm.
the self-doubt, but they've learned to mask it,
Right.
put on a brave face.
So they've got those coping mechanisms
They do.
that allow them to function
Right.
in social situations.
Yeah.
Even if they're not completely comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
they might be incredibly successful,
Yeah.
achieve great things,
Right.
but still be wrestling with those feelings of shyness.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes this distinction so important.
Right.
It reminds us that shyness is multifaceted. It's not always what it seems
Right.
on the surface.
And it can impact people in different ways,
Yeah.
regardless of their appearance or accomplishments.
Absolutely.
So it's really interesting to think about how
Yeah.
shyness affects our relationships.
Right. Because it doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Yeah,
It shapes how we interact with everyone,
right.
especially the people closest to us.
Yeah, and it starts early.
It does. With our parents.
Right. Okay.
You know, the research we looked at suggests that
Hmm.
the parenting styles of shy children
Uh,
often fall into two categories:
two categories.
overprotective
Okay.
or overly critical.
Okay.
And both of those can end up reinforcing
Oh, wow.
the shyness rather than helping the child overcome it.
It's a catch-22.
It is a catch-22.
Right. Like overprotective parents with the best of intentions
Right.
might try to shield their child
Yeah.
from any social situation
Mhm.
that might trigger anxiety.
Right.
But by doing that,
Yeah.
they're preventing the child from developing
Right.
the skills and the confidence that they need
Yeah.
to navigate those situations
Right.
on their own.
And on the other hand,
Yeah.
you have parents who are constantly criticizing.
Right.
Even if it's unintentional,
Mm-hmm.
it can really chip away at a shy child's self-esteem,
Absolutely.
you know? So they might become even more hesitant
Yeah.
to put themselves out there.
For fear of not meeting those expectations.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a delicate balance.
It is.
And the research really emphasizes the importance
Yeah.
of creating a supportive and safe environment
Right.
where a child can feel comfortable expressing themselves
Absolutely.
without fear of judgment.
Yeah.
Encouraging them to step outside their comfort zone,
Uh-huh.
but at their own pace.
Yeah.
And with lots of support.
It makes me think about the difference between pushing a child into the deep end of a pool and gently guiding them into the shallow end.
Yeah.
Both involve getting in the water,
Yeah.
but one is a lot more likely to create fear and resistance.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And this whole idea of a supportive environment
Mm-hmm.
extends beyond the home, too, right?
It does.
Think about the role teachers play
Yeah.
in a shy child's life.
Absolutely.
School can be such a social pressure cooker,
Yeah.
especially for kids who are already feeling shy.
Right.
There's so much emphasis on participation, right? Speaking up in class, group projects.
Yeah.
It can feel really overwhelming.
Absolutely. And for a child who's struggling with shyness, the classroom can be a source of anxiety.
Right.
They might know the answers, but be too afraid to raise their hand.
Right.
Or they might dread being called on, worried about saying the wrong thing, or being judged by their classmates.
One anecdote that stood out to me was about a student who was consistently getting good grades
Okay.
on her written work. But her participation grade was suffering.
Wow.
Because she was too shy to speak up in class.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that she didn't know the material.
Right.
It was just that fear of being in the spotlight.
Yeah. That fear of judgment and ridicule can be paralyzing.
Yeah.
And it highlights the importance of teachers creating a classroom culture that's inclusive and encouraging, where every student feels comfortable participating, regardless of their personality.
So it's about recognizing that quiet students have just as much to offer and finding ways to draw them out, to make them feel valued.
Absolutely.
But it's not just parents and teachers. Shyness also affects how we form and maintain friendships.
Absolutely.
Making friends can be a challenge for anyone.
Yeah.
But for shy people, it can be super daunting.
Really daunting. Yeah.
There's that fear of rejection, of not fitting in.
Yeah.
Shy people worry about saying the wrong thing.
Right.
Or being perceived as boring. Or not knowing how to initiate conversation.
Absolutely. And it can lead to a vicious cycle,
Yeah.
right? The less they socialize, the more their social skills
Right.
atrophy.
Right.
And it becomes even harder to connect with people. They
Yeah.
start to isolate themselves, which
Yeah.
just makes those feelings of loneliness and inadequacy even worse.
Like a self-imposed exile.
Yeah, it is.
But the research does offer some hope. It suggests that for shy individuals,
Yeah.
finding like-minded people, people who share their values and interests,
Yeah.
can be a game changer.
It makes sense.
It does.
When you're with people who get you
Right.
and appreciate your quirks, it takes some of the pressure off.
Yeah, you already have that common ground.
Right.
So you don't have to make small talk
Exactly.
or, search for things to talk about.
Right.
And then what about romantic relationships?
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
It seems like shyness could be a big hurdle,
A big hurdle.
when it comes to dating and intimacy.
Absolutely, because that fear of rejection, which is
Yeah.
already heightened for shy people, becomes even more amplified in the context of romance.
Right.
They might struggle to approach potential partners
Right.
or initiate dates or even express their feelings.
Right.
I mean, I'm thinking about that study we looked at about shy naval personnel. They were less likely to seek counsel
Wow.
from their superior officers
Oh, really?
for personal problems,
Wow.
even when those problems were related to their romantic relationships.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it shows how shyness can prevent people from seeking help and support
Right.
that they need.
Even in matters of the heart.
Absolutely. And this avoidance
Right.
can have a ripple effect,
Uh-huh.
lead to feelings of loneliness,
Right.
isolation,
Yeah.
missed opportunities for connection
Yeah.
and intimacy.
It's amazing how it can affect so many different areas,
It really is.
of our lives.
Right?
We see how it affects us with our parents and teachers and friends and romantic partners.
Yeah.
But then there's another area where shyness can have a big impact,
Okay.
and that's the workplace.
The workplace.
In today's competitive job market,
Absolutely.
being able to network,
Right.
to speak up in meetings,
Mhm.
to assert yourself, those are all crucial.
Yeah.
for professional success.
Very important.
And these are all areas where shy people might struggle.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that they lack the skills or knowledge.
Right.
It's that shyness holds them back from showcasing their talents and abilities.
Yeah.
So they might be overlooked for promotions or struggle to negotiate a raise, you know, or find it difficult to build those relationships with colleagues and clients.
Right.
And what's interesting is that it's not just about being an extrovert or having, you know, the gift of gab.
Yeah.
Research has shown that even quiet individuals, if they're prompted to speak up more, are often perceived as more confident and competent.
Interesting.
You know, we looked at that study where participants were instructed to speak for longer periods of time in group discussions.
Right.
They were more likely to be selected for leadership positions,
right.
even if their contributions weren't necessarily more insightful or valuable.
Interesting.
So it suggests that just overcoming that initial hesitation, that fear of speaking up, can have a positive impact on how we're perceived.
Absolutely.
Professionally.
Professionally, yeah.
It's not about becoming someone we're not.
Yeah.
It's about pushing ourselves a little.
Yeah. Just outside that comfort zone.
Right. So it's not just about speaking up.
Yeah.
It's also about developing those crucial social skills that allow us to navigate this complex world of work. Things like active listening, clear communication, and being able to build rapport with others.
Absolutely.
You know, those can be so intimidating for someone who's shy.
Yeah.
But the research suggests that they can be learned and practiced, just like any other skill.
Yeah, and there are tons of resources available to help us improve these skills, like books, workshops, online courses. And the more proficient we become, the more our confidence will soar.
Right.
But I do want to emphasize one more crucial element in this journey of overcoming shyness. Self-care.
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 It seems like it's the answer to everything these days.
I know. Right.
But in this context, it goes beyond
double baths
and face masks.
It really does.
Right.
Self-care in this context is about taking care of our physical and mental well-being. Because when we're sleep deprived, stressed out, or not taking care of our basic needs, it's so much harder to feel confident, comfortable in social situations.
Right. It's like trying to run a marathon on an empty stomach.
Exactly.
You're not setting yourself up for success.
Exactly.
So things like getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, eating a healthy diet, practicing relaxation techniques, all of those things contribute.
They do.
To reducing our anxiety.
Absolutely.
Boosting our mood. And then it makes it easier to face those social challenges.
Right.
You know, so it's about creating that solid foundation, you know, for social success. Starting with ourselves.
Starting with ourselves.
And, you know, shyness is a common experience.
It is.
You're not alone in this journey.
You are not alone at all.
And you know what I find so encouraging about all the research we've looked at is that it gives us hope.
Absolutely.
And practical guidance for anyone who wants to overcome shyness.
It emphasizes self-awareness. Challenging those negative thoughts. Practicing social skills. Building on our strengths. And taking care of ourselves.
It's a journey.
It is.
It takes time and effort. And a willingness to step outside our comfort zone.
Absolutely.
But, you know, if shyness is holding you back, take heart. The power to redefine your relationship with shyness is within you.
It is.
You know, we can encourage you to explore these sources. Experiment with the strategies and techniques that resonate with you. And embrace this journey of personal growth.
Absolutely.
And just keep in mind that even small steps can lead to big changes.
Big changes,
So what resonated with you the most from this deep dive? What are you going to try differently?
What are you going to try differently?
In your life. Until next time.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
And keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.
Into the research.
Into the research.
Into yourself.
Into yourselves.
Into the world.
Into the world.
You know? There's so much out there.
There is.
You know? It's just waiting to be discovered.
Waiting to be discovered.
So go out there and discover it.
Go out there and discover it.
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for.
You know? To help you do that.
Absolutely.
To inspire you.
To empower you.
To empower you.
To empower you.
And to encourage you on this journey Of life.
And learning.
Yeah.
And growth.
And discovery.
And discovery.
So until next time.
Until next time.
Happy diving.
Happy diving.
So we've talked about, how common shyness is and different ways it can show up.
Yeah.
And some of the theories about, where it comes from.
Yeah.
But I think where it gets really interesting,
right,
and maybe a little personal for our listeners,
yeah,
is when we look at how shyness affects our relationships.
Absolutely.
Because it doesn't just exist in a vacuum.
No, it doesn't.
It shapes the way that we interact with the people around us.
Right.
Especially those closest to us.
Especially the people that are closest to us, yeah.
And it starts early.
It does.
With our parents.
Yeah.
The research suggests that the parenting styles of shy children often fall into two categories.
Two categories?
Overprotective.
Okay.
Or overly critical.
Overly critical.
And both can actually end up reinforcing the shyness.
Right.
Rather than helping the child overcome it.
It's kind of a catch-22, isn't it?
It is.
Overprotective parents,
mm-hmm.
they might try to shield their child.
Right.
From social situations that could trigger anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing so, they might actually be preventing the child from developing those coping skills and that confidence that they need to navigate those situations on their own.
And then you've got parents who are constantly criticizing.
Yeah.
And even if it's unintentional, it can really chip away at that child's already fragile self-esteem.
Absolutely.
So then they become, even more hesitant to put themselves out there.
Right.
Because they're afraid of not meeting those expectations.
Absolutely.
So it really is a delicate balance.
It is a delicate balance, yeah.
And the research really emphasizes, creating that safe and supportive environment where a child feels comfortable expressing themselves without fear of judgment.
Absolutely.
Encouraging them to step outside that comfort zone.
Yeah.
But at their own pace.
Or own pace.
With plenty of support.
With lots of support, yeah.
That's it.
It makes me think about the difference between pushing a child into the deep end of a pool versus gently guiding them into the shallow end.
Right.
Both involve getting in the water.
Yeah.
But one is a lot more likely to create that fear and resistance.
It's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And this idea of a supportive environment, it extends beyond the home, too.
It does.
You think about the role that teachers play.
Yeah.
In a shy child's life.
Absolutely.
School can be such a social pressure cooker.
Oh, it can.
Especially for kids who are already feeling shy.
Especially. Yeah.
So much emphasis.
Right.
On participation. Speaking up in class.
All right.
Group projects.
Group projects.
It'd be so overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely. And for a child who's struggling with shyness.
Yeah.
That classroom can become a source of major anxiety.
Right.
They might know all the answers, but they're too afraid to raise their hand. Or they might dread being called on. Yeah. Worried about, saying the wrong thing.
Or being judged.
Yeah, or being judged by their classmates.
One anecdote that stood out to me was about a student who was getting good grades on her written work.
Okay.
But her participation grade was suffering.
Oh, wow.
Because she was just too shy to speak up in class.
Wow.
And it wasn't that she didn't know the material.
Right.
Or that she didn't have anything to contribute.
Right.
It was that fear of being in the spotlight.
Yeah, that fear of being judged or ridiculed, it can be paralyzing.
It can.
And it highlights the importance of, teachers creating that classroom culture that's inclusive and encouraging, where all students feel comfortable participating regardless of their personality.
So recognizing that quiet students have just as much to offer as their more outspoken peers.
Right.
And finding ways to draw them out, make them feel valued.
Yeah, make them feel seen and heard.
But it's not just parents and teachers.
Right. It's not just them.
Shyness also affects how we form and maintain friendships.
Yes.
It does.
Yeah.
Making friends can be a challenge for anybody.
Yeah.
But for shy people, it can be especially daunting.
Especially daunting.
That fear of rejection, of not fitting in.
Yeah.
Shy people worry about saying the wrong thing. Right. Or being perceived as boring.
Yeah.
Or not knowing how to start a conversation.
Absolutely. And it can lead to a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
Right? Because the less they socialize, the more their social skills atrophy.
Right.
And then it's even harder to connect with people.
Yeah.
And then they start to isolate themselves.
Right. Which just makes those feelings of loneliness and inadequacy even worse.
Like a self-imposed exile.
It is.
Yeah. But the research does offer some hope.
Okay, that's good.
It suggests that for shy individuals, finding like-minded people.
Like-minded people.
Who share their interests and values.
Yeah.
Can be a game changer.
Makes sense.
It does.
When you're with people who get you,
right,
who appreciate, your quirks,
yeah,
and don't judge you for being quiet or reserved,
right,
it takes the pressure off.
Yeah, you already have that common ground.
Yeah, you have that common ground.
So you don't have to make small talk.
Or
search for things to talk about.
Absolutely.
So what about romantic relationships?
Romantic relationships, that's a big one.
It seems like shyness could be a major hurdle.
A major hurdle.
When it comes to dating and intimacy.
It is, because that fear of rejection.
Which is already, amplified for shy people. Becomes even more amplified in the context of romance.
Right.
They might have trouble approaching potential partners.
Yeah.
Or initiating dates or expressing their feelings.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that study we looked at.
Yeah.
About the shy naval personnel.
Oh, yeah.
They were less likely to seek counsel.
Right.
From their superior officers.
Yeah.
For personal problems.
Yeah.
Even when those problems were related to their romantic relationships.
Right. And it's just how shyness can prevent people from getting the help and support that they need.
Right.
Even in matters of the heart.
Yeah, and that avoidance can have a ripple effect.
Yeah, it can lead to loneliness.
Lead to feelings of loneliness and isolation.
Isolation.
And missed opportunities.
Missed opportunities for connection.
For connection and intimacy.
Intimacy, yeah.
So we see how shyness can impact our relationships with, our parents, our
teachers,
or friends,
or
romantic partners.
Yeah.
But there's another area where shyness can have significant consequences. And that's in the workplace.
The workplace, yeah.
In today's competitive job market.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being able to network effectively, speak up in meetings, assert yourself.
Assert yourself.
These are all crucial.
So important.
For professional success.
Yeah, they're really important.
And these are all areas
right.
where shy individuals might struggle.
Yeah.
It's not that they lack the skills or the knowledge.
Right. They might have all of those things.
It's that shyness can hold them back.
Yeah, it holds them back from showcasing those talents and abilities.
Showcasing their talents and abilities.
Exactly.
So they might be overlooked for promotions or struggle to negotiate a raise or have a hard time building relationships with colleagues and clients.
With colleagues and clients, yeah.
But what's so interesting is that it's not just about being an extrovert or having that, gift of gab. Research has shown that even quiet individuals, if they're prompted to speak up more in group settings, are often perceived as more confident and competent.
Okay.
We looked at that study where participants were told to speak for longer periods of time in group discussions.
Yeah.
And they were more likely to be chosen for leadership positions.
Interesting.
Even if what they said wasn't necessarily more insightful or valuable than the people who spoke less.
That's interesting.
So it suggests that just overcoming that initial hesitation.
Yeah, that initial hesitation.
That fear of speaking up can really have a positive impact on how we're perceived.
Absolutely, in a professional setting.
It's not about becoming someone we're not.
Right.
It's about, pushing ourselves a little.
Yeah, just outside that comfort zone.
Just outside our comfort zone. So it's not just about speaking up.
Right.
It's about developing those crucial social skills.
Yes.
That allow us to navigate the world of work.
Right.
Things like active listening, clear communication, being able to build rapport with others. Those can be intimidating for someone who's shy.
Yeah.
But the research suggests they can be learned and practiced, just like any other skill.
Like any other skill. Yeah. And there are so many resources available to help us improve those skills.
Yeah.
Books, workshops, online courses, and as we become more proficient, our confidence will soar.
Yeah.
But I want to emphasize one more thing.
Okay.
One more crucial element
okay.
in this journey of overcoming shyness.
Okay.
Self-care.
Self-care.
It's like the answer to everything these days.
I know, right?
But in this context, it goes beyond.
It does. It goes beyond bubble baths and face masks.
Bubble baths and face masks, right?
Yeah.
So what does it mean in this context?
Self-care in this context is about taking care of our physical and mental well-being.
Okay.
You know, because when we're sleep deprived, stressed out,
Yeah.
not taking care of ourselves,
Right.
it's so much harder
Yeah.
to feel confident
Yeah.
and comfortable
Right.
in social situations.
It's like trying to run a marathon on an empty stomach.
Exactly.
You're not setting yourself up.
Yeah, you're not setting yourself up for success.
For success.
No.
So things like getting enough sleep,
Mm.
exercising regularly, eating a healthy diet, practicing relaxation techniques. These all contribute, to reducing our anxiety.
Absolutely.
Boosting our mood.
Yeah.
And then it's easier
to face those social challenges.
Yeah, it makes those social challenges seem a little less daunting.
Less daunting, yeah. So it's about creating that foundation,
Yeah.
For social success.
Yeah.
But starting with ourselves.
Starting with ourselves.
And remember, shyness is common.
It is.
You're not alone in this.
You are not alone.
And what I find so encouraging about all this research is that it gives us hope.
Absolutely.
And practical guidance for anyone who wants to overcome shyness.
It emphasizes self-awareness, challenging those negative thoughts, practicing those social skills, building on our strengths, and taking care of ourselves.
So it's a journey.
It is.
It takes time and effort.
It takes time and effort.
And a willingness to step outside our comfort zone.
Yeah, but if shyness is holding you back, take heart.
Take heart.
That power to redefine your relationship with shyness is within you.
We encourage you to explore these sources.
Yeah.
Experiment with the strategies, the techniques that resonate with you.
Yeah.
And embrace this journey of personal growth.
Absolutely.
And just keep in mind that even small steps can lead to big changes. So what resonated with you the most from this?
Yeah, what resonated with you the most?
Tell me you're going to try differently.
Yeah, what are you going to try differently?
In your life.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
And keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.
Okay. So we've talked about what shyness is and, where it comes from.
Yeah.
And how it impacts our lives.
Right.
But now, the big question.
The big question, yeah.
Can we overcome it?
Can shyness be overcome?
Is it possible?
That is the question.
To break free from this sometimes debilitating emotion.
Well, the good news is the research suggests that yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's good to hear.
Shyness is not a life sentence.
Right.
It's not a personality trait set in stone.
So where do we even begin?
Well, the first step,
Yeah.
and this is emphasized a lot in the research,
Okay.
is self-awareness.
Okay.
You know, really understanding ourselves and our shyness, figuring out what our triggers are, those situations, or people that tend to make us feel most anxious or self-conscious.
So it's like doing an inventory of our shyness, noticing the patterns. The specific situations that bring those feelings to the surface.
Right.
And then what?
Well, once we understand our triggers better, we can start to develop coping mechanisms.
Okay.
You know, these could be simple things. Like taking a few deep breaths before a social situation, or practicing a little self-compassion when we feel those negative thoughts creeping in.
It makes me think about that idea of private self-consciousness.
Yeah.
Those internal criticisms.
Wait, those internal criticisms?
That can fuel our shyness.
Yes.
So is there anything we can do?
There is.
To quiet those voices?
Absolutely.
Like how?
Well, one technique the research talks about is reframing those negative thoughts.
Okay.
So it's about challenging them and replacing them with more positive and realistic self-assessments.
So instead of thinking, I'm so awkward, everyone's going to judge me, we could try thinking something like, okay, I might feel a little nervous, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Everyone feels that way sometimes.
Right.
I'm just going to focus on connecting with people and have a good time.
It's about shifting that internal dialogue from self-criticism to self-compassion.
Right.
And the more we practice this, the easier it becomes to silence those negative thoughts.
But self-awareness and reframing thoughts are only part of it, right?
Right. That's only part of it.
There's another key ingredient.
What's that?
Practice.
Yeah. Makes sense.
It does. Like any skill.
Yeah.
The more we use it, the better we get at it.
Exactly.
But how do we practice being less shy?
Right.
Without, throwing ourselves into these situations that feel terrifying.
Well, the key is to start small.
Okay.
Don't try to go from 0 to 60,
Right.
Overnight.
Yeah.
Instead, set some achievable goals.
Okay.
Maybe it's striking up a conversation with the cashier
Okay.
at the grocery store or offering a compliment to a stranger.
Right.
And then gradually work your way up
Right.
to more challenging situations.
Like joining a social group or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about building our confidence step by step.
Step by step.
Right.
And here's another tip from the research.
Yeah.
Focus on your strengths.
Okay.
Everyone has something unique to offer in social situations. Maybe you're a great listener. Maybe you have a knack for making people laugh.
Right.
Maybe you're passionate about a particular topic.
Right.
It's about recognizing those strengths and letting them shine.
Instead of focusing on our weaknesses.
Exactly. And as we start to see ourselves as valuable contributors, our confidence grows.
But we can't forget about those social skills.
Those social skills are important.
Things like initiating conversations.
Yeah.
Making eye contact. Expressing ourselves assertively.
Right.
Those can be so intimidating.
They can.
For someone who's shy.
Yeah.
But the research says that they can be learned and practiced.
They can be learned.
Just like any other skill.
Exactly. And there are so many resources to help us improve these skills.
What?
Books, workshops, online courses.
Right.
And as we become more proficient in these areas, our confidence will soar.
But I want to emphasize one more thing that's really crucial.
What's that?
Self-care.
Ah, yes, self-care.
Self-care.
It seems like it's the answer to everything these days.
But in this context, it goes beyond bubble baths and face masks.
It does go beyond that.
So what does it mean in this context?
There's self-care here is about taking care of our physical and mental well-being.
Okay.
Because when we're sleep deprived, stressed out, or not taking care of our basic needs, it's harder to feel good.
Yeah.
And to feel confident and comfortable.
Right. It's like trying to run a marathon on an empty stomach.
Exactly.
You're not setting yourself up for success.
They're not setting yourself up for success.
No. So getting enough sleep, exercising regularly.
Right.
Eating a healthy diet, practicing relaxation techniques.
Absolutely.
All of those things contribute.
Yeah, they all contribute.
To reducing our anxiety, boosting our mood.
Yes.
And then it becomes easier to face those social challenges.
Exactly.
So it's about creating that foundation.
Yeah.
For social success.
For social success.
But starting with ourselves.
Starting with ourselves.
And remember, shyness is a common human experience.
It is.
You are not alone in this.
You are not alone in this at all.
And what's so encouraging about all this research is that it gives us hope.
It does. It gives us hope.
And practical guidance.
Yes.
For anyone who wants to overcome this.
It emphasizes self-awareness, challenging those negative thoughts, practicing those social skills, building on our strengths, and taking care of ourselves.
And it's a journey.
It is a journey.
It takes time.
It takes time.
It takes effort.
It takes effort.
And it takes a willingness to step outside our comfort zone.
It does.
But if shyness is holding you back, take heart.
Take heart.
The power to redefine your relationship with shyness is within you.
It is within you.
We encourage you to explore the sources that we've talked about today. Experiment with the strategies and the techniques that resonate with you. And embrace this journey of personal growth. And just remember that even small steps can lead to big changes.
Two big changes.
So what resonated with you most?
What resonated with you most?
From this deep dive.
Yeah, from this deep dive.
What are you going to try differently?
What are you going to try differently?
In your life.
Yeah, in your life.
Until next time.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep exploring.
Keep diving deep.
Diving deep.
And remember, you are not alone.
You are not alone.